The last thing my sister ever said to me, face to face, was barely louder than a breath. "Pretend you're sick and run away," she whispered, pressing her lips right against my ear so the crowd at Gate 27 couldn't hear. Her perfume wrapped around me like it always had, vanilla and something darker now. And for one stupid second I thought she was saving me. Then she smiled, that perfect Emily smile, waved once, and disappeared down the jet bridge with the man who used to be mine. I just stood there, boarding pass trembling in my hand, trying to understand why my heart felt like it had already been ripped out and left on the airport floor. My name is Lauren. 2 months earlier, Emily and I were still splitting rent on a tiny apartment filled with fairy lights and shared secrets. She was the sun I was happy to orbit. When she came home one night glowing, showing off a diamond ring the size of a small planet, my stomach dropped before she even said his name. Marcus, my Marcus, the one I'd been quietly dating for almost a year, the one I'd hidden from her because I was terrified she'd think I wasn't good enough for him. Turns out she didn't think that at all. She just decided he was hers now. Within weeks, the story changed. Suddenly I was the delusional little sister who'd made everything up. Marcus looked at me like I was a stranger. My parents sighed and said, "Lauren, you have to let this go." Emily cried beautiful tears and told everyone I needed help. And the worst part, I started to believe them. That's why I agreed to the Bali trip. Emily called it a sister's healing getaway. Fully paid, first class for her and Marcus, economy for me. Because she wanted me to feel better in time for the wedding, I packed sunscreen and an apology I never got to give, so when she whispered those words at the gate, "Pretend you're sick and run away," I thought maybe, just maybe, she still loved me enough to warn me about something. I had no idea the warning was about her. I boarded anyway. I sat in 22A, clutching a ginger ale I couldn't drink, watching the back of her perfect blonde head, 12 rows ahead, halfway across the Pacific. The truth started choking me. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, and opened the email she'd forwarded me weeks ago, the one I'd deleted in tears, then recovered from trash because something wouldn't let me forget. Subject: Policy confirmation. L. Thompson amount, $1 million beneficiary. E. Thompson special clause, double indemnity for accidental death during international travel. Effective date: the day we left. My knees buckled. I stared at my reflection under that harsh airplane light and didn't recognize the girl staring back. She wasn't weak anymore, she was furious. I pieced it together like a horror movie I couldn't pause. The forged therapy notes in my name. The quiet comments to our parents about how I'd been unstable. The way Marcus flinched every time I tried to speak to him alone. They weren't just stealing my life, they were planning to end it, collect the money, and cry pretty tears at my memorial. When we landed in Bali, Emily hugged me like nothing was wrong. "You look pale, sweetie, jet lag." I told her my stomach hurt. She looked hopeful. That night at the cliffside villa, she tucked me in with a cup of tea that smelled too sweet. I poured it into a plant when she turned away. While they laughed on the terrace, thinking I was asleep, I opened her laptop. Password: still our childhood dog's name. I photographed everything: the insurance rider, the resort booking with only 2 return tickets, the messages between them laughing about how easy it would be to stage a fall from the infinity pool. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash the screen over her head. Instead, I sat in the dark and cried so quietly my body shook, but those tears weren't weak anymore, they were fueled by dawn. I'd made my choice. I'd left my phone on the nightstand, my suitcase open, the Maid d'Avenir dress laid across the bed like I'd just stepped out for sunrise yoga. I took only my passport, the memory card with every damning file, and the cash I'd hidden in my bra for months, just in case I disappeared. Emily played her part perfectly. She called the police in hysterics. My sister wandered off. She hasn't been well. Search teams combed the jungle. The news called it a tragic disappearance. Marcus gave tearful interviews about how much he'd always cared about both sisters. I watched it all from a tiny cafe on a different island, sipping iced coffee while I uploaded every document to a lawyer Aunt Claire had connected me with, the only relative who never swallowed Emily's lies. 40-8 hours later, Interpol arrived at the villa. Emily opened the door in silk pajamas, still crying on cue, until they showed her the printed emails. Marcus tried to run barefoot across the sand. They tackled him before he reached the gate. The trial was fast. The evidence was undeniable. Attempted murder for profit carries a heavy sentence in Indonesia. Emily got 27 years. Marcus Got 20. The insurance company froze every account they had. Sometimes I still dream of her face when the verdict was read. How she looked straight into the camera and screamed my name like I was the monster, but I wasn't there. I was already home. I go by my middle name now. I speak at support groups for siblings of narcissists. I built a life brighter than anything she tried to bury me under. And every year on the anniversary of the day I vanished, I light one single candle, not for revenge, but for the girl who finally learned how to save herself. Emily was right about one thing that day at the airport. I did pretend I was sick, and I did run, but I didn't run from life. I ran straight into it. If someone is trying to rewrite your story, make you doubt your own memories, listen to me. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive, and you never, ever have to stay on the plane they booked for you. The truth has wings. Use them. I did, and I've never looked back. The second before she walked away forever, my sister grabbed my wrist so hard it bruised. Board the plane, she hissed, eyes wide and glassy. But the moment we land, fake a migraine, collapse, anything, tell them you need a hospital, then run. Do not come to the villa, promise me. I laughed, because what else could I do? Emily never panicked. Emily was the calm one, the golden one, the one who fixed everything, so I thought she was being dramatic about some silly fight we'd had. I pulled my arm free, rolled my eyes, and said, "Stop it, I'm fine." She looked like she might cry, then forced her perfect smile, kissed my cheek, and disappeared into the crowd with her fiancé trailing behind her like an obedient shadow. I was Ava, 26, always the quieter sister, the one who lived in Emily's light. 3 months earlier, that light had turned into a spotlight pointed straight at my heart, burning it to ash because the man holding her hand, the one slipping the boarding pass wallet into her designer bag, was Noah. My Noah, the one I'd been secretly in love with for 2 years? The one who told me I was home every night. He fell asleep on my couch. One day he just stopped answering my texts. The next week Emily posted a photo of a diamond on her finger and captioned it, "He finally asked." Our parents toasted. Friends screamed congratulations. And when I tried to speak, Emily looked at me with soft, pitying eyes and said, "Ava, sweetie, you're confused again. Noah never saw you that way. You need help." Everyone nodded, like I was the delusional one. Like my memories were lies. I told myself in the dark. That's why I agreed to this healing trip to Bali. Emily insisted. Said sunsets and sister time would fix me. Said I could still be her maid of honor if I let the past go. I packed a bikini and a heart full of shame. Convinced I really had imagined everything, so when she begged me on the jet bridge to fake illness and run the second we landed, I thought she was talking about sparing me more embarrassment. I had no idea she was trying to save my life. The second before she walked away forever, my sister grabbed my wrist so hard it bruised. Board the plane, she hissed, eyes wide and glassy. But the moment we land, fake a migraine, collapse, anything, tell them you need a hospital, then run. Do not come to the villa, promise me. I laughed, because what else could I do? Emily never panicked. Emily was the calm one, the golden one, the one who fixed everything, so I thought she was being dramatic about some silly fight we'd had. I pulled my arm free, rolled my eyes, and said, "Stop it, I'm fine." She looked like she might cry, then forced her perfect smile, kissed my cheek, and disappeared into the crowd with her fiancé trailing behind her like an obedient shadow. I was Ava, 26, always the quieter sister, the one who lived in Emily's light. 3 months earlier, that light had turned into a spotlight pointed straight at my heart, burning it to ash because the man holding her hand, the one slipping the boarding pass wallet into her designer bag, was Noah. My Noah, the one I'd been secretly in love with for 2 years? The one who told me I was home every night. He fell asleep on my couch. One day he just stopped answering my texts. The next week Emily posted a photo of a diamond on her finger and captioned it, "He finally asked." Our parents toasted. Friends screamed congratulations. And when I tried to speak, Emily looked at me with soft, pitying eyes and said, "Ava, sweetie, you're confused again. Noah never saw you that way. You need help." Everyone nodded, like I was the delusional one. Like my memories were lies. I told myself in the dark. That's why I agreed to this healing trip to Bali. Emily insisted. Said sunsets and sister time would fix me. Said I could still be her maid of honor if I let the past go. I packed a bikini and a heart full of shame. Convinced I really had imagined everything, so when she begged me on the jet bridge to fake illness and run the second we landed, I thought she was talking about sparing me more embarrassment. I had no idea she was trying to save my life. 48 hours later, the story broke worldwide. Sister saves herself from murder for insurance plot in Bali. Every email, every text where they laughed about how much money my life was worth, every forged psychiatric report claiming I was suicidal, all of it leaked. I leaked it, Emily sobbed on camera, claiming I'd framed her out of jealousy. Noah tried to flee the country. They caught him at a private airstrip with 2 suitcases and one-way tickets to nowhere extradition would reach. The trial lasted 9 days. The evidence took less than 2. Emily got 20 years. Noah got 20-2. The judge called it the coldest betrayal I've ever seen. I watched the verdict from a quiet apartment halfway across the world, cup of tea shaking in my hands. I didn't smile. I just felt the last piece of that broken girl click into place and turn into someone unbreakable. People ask if I hate her. I don't. Hate would mean she still owns space inside me. Doesn't I speak now? Schools, podcasts, anywhere women are told they're too emotional or imagining things. I started a foundation with the reward money the police gave me for stopping a crime. We help women disappear the right way, safely, legally, when the people who are supposed to love them most start planning their funerals. Emily was right that day at the gate. I did fake illness. I did run, but I didn't run from life. I ran toward the truth. And the truth, it caught them. If someone is rewriting your reality, making you doubt what you know in your bones, please hear me. You are not crazy. You are not crazy. Are not the problem. And you never have to stay where they're measuring the balcony drop. Boarding the plane doesn't mean you have to land where they planned. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is unbuckle the seatbelt mid-flight and jump into your own life. I did, and I'm still flying. I can still feel her breath against my ear, hot and urgent, like she was pushing the words straight into my soul. Act sick the second we land, my sister whispered, clutching my shoulders so tightly her nails left half-moon marks through my sweater. Collapse. Cry. Say you're having a panic attack. Anything. Then run. Do not go to the resort with us. Promise me, Sophie. Promise. Her eyes were wild. Nothing like the calm, perfect Olivia the world knew. For one heartbeat I thought she was finally sorry, that this was her way of protecting me from the pain she'd caused. I even opened my mouth to say thank you. Instead, I laughed, confused, and said, "Liv, stop being dramatic. It's just a vacation." She looked like I'd slapped her. Then the boarding call came, and she let go, turned away, and walked onto that plane with my ex-boyfriend's hand on the small of her back. My name is Sophie. 4 months earlier, I was the happiest I'd ever been. I had just moved in with Ethan, the man I thought I'd marry one day. Olivia, my big sister, the one I idolized since we were kids, was my best friend. We told each other everything, or so I thought. Then one morning I woke up to an empty apartment and a text from Ethan. "I'm sorry. I love her. Please don't hate us." An hour later, Olivia posted a photo of them kissing under our favorite cafe sign, captioned, "When you realize home was right in front of you the whole time." Our parents called it unexpected but beautiful. Friends said I should be happy for them. When I tried to speak the truth, Olivia cried and said I'd always been fragile and that losing Ethan had clearly broken something in me. Suddenly, I was the liar, the jealous little sister inventing stories. I almost believed it myself. That's why I said yes to the Bali trip. Olivia insisted it would heal us. 1 week, just us girls. Well, and Ethan. She'd laughed. Let's reset. I packed my broken heart and a stupid hope that maybe, just maybe, she still loved me underneath it all. So, when she begged me in that airport to fake illness and disappear the moment we touched down, I thought she was scared I'd ruin her new perfect life. I had no idea she was desperately trying to keep me alive. I ignored every warning bell. I boarded the plane, smiling like a fool, telling myself sisters fight and forgive. Olivia and Ethan sat in first class, heads together, laughing. I sat in the back and swallowed the 2 white pills she'd pressed into my palm for anxiety. They tasted like chalk and betrayal. 10 hours later, somewhere over the Indian Ocean, I woke up groggy and reached for my phone to check the time. That's when I saw the email notification, sent from Olivia's account to mine 3 weeks earlier, then recalled 2 minutes later. She must have hit send by mistake and thought she'd fixed it. She hadn't. Subject: Policy Update, S. Harper Mount. $3 million beneficiary. O. Harper and E. Grant accidental death abroad. Triple indemnity note from agent. Premium paid in full. Policy active upon departure from U.S. soil. Attached was a scanned doctor's letter claiming I had a history of severe depression and recent suicidal ideation, signed by a doctor I'd never met. There were texts too, screenshots she'd forwarded herself by accident. Olivia, she trusts me completely. One fall from that cliff path and it's over. Ethan, make sure she takes both pills on the plane. Keeps her quiet till we get there. Olivia, already done. Poor little Sophie. She'll never see it coming. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. My own sister hadn't just stolen my future, she'd ensured my death. I wanted to scream, to march up the aisle and throw her phone at her perfect face. Instead, I sat frozen, feeling the pills heavy in my bloodstream, feeling the plane carrying me toward a cliff she'd already chosen. Then something inside me snapped, not into pieces, but into steel. I waited until the seatbelt sign flashed on for descent. I stood up, clutched my chest, and let myself drop hard between the seats. People shouted. Flight attendants ran. I gasped. Heart. Can't breathe? History of arrhythmia. Olivia's face appeared at the front of economy, pale as paper. I locked eyes with her and mouthed 2 words. I know. They rushed me off the plane first on a stretcher. As the paramedics wheeled me away, I heard her voice behind me, high and brittle. That's my sister. She gets like this. We'll take care of her. I screamed for security, told them I was being kidnapped. Chaos erupted. While police held Olivia and Ethan for questioning, I slipped the paramedic my phone with every screenshot open and begged him to send it to authorities. Then I disappeared into the airport crowd before they even finished reading me my rights. 3 days later, the headlines exploded. Bride-to-be and fiancé arrested in $3 million murder plot against sister. Every text, every forged document, every payment to the fake doctor, it all came out. I leaked it from a tiny guest house 2 islands away, sipping mango juice and watching the news on a cracked television. Olivia cried on camera, of course, claiming I'd staged everything out of spite. Ethan tried to say I'd manipulated them both. Evelyn didn't care about their tears. The trial was swift. Attempted murder for financial gain. Olivia got 28 years. Ethan got 25. The judge looked Olivia in the eye and said, "You weaponized love. That is unforgivable." I watched the verdict online, wrapped in a stranger's borrowed tears rolling down my cheeks. Not for the sister I lost, but for the one I never really had. People ask if I feel vindicated. I feel free. I go by my middle name now. I travel light. I speak to crowded rooms about how the people closest to you can be the most dangerous. About how act sick and run were the last words my sister ever spoke to me, and how I finally listened. Olivia was right about one thing. I did act sick, and I did run, but I ran toward daylight, toward truth, toward a life she can never touch again. If someone is trying to rewrite your memories, ensure your silence, or book you a one-way trip off a cliff, hear me. You are not broken. You are not imagining things, and you never have to smile while they measure the drop. The truth is louder than any lie they tell about you. Scream it if you have to. Run if you have to. Live. Because I did. And every sunrise now tastes like freedom. I still hear her voice every time I close my eyes, low, trembling, right against my ear in the middle of a crowded airport. Fake being ill the minute the plane doors open, she said, squeezing my hand so hard I felt the bones grind. Collapse if you have to, then vanish. Don't go to the villa. Don't drink anything I give you. Don't trust anyone. Please, Mia, I'm begging you, disappear. My big sister Isabella had never begged for anything in her life, so I laughed. I actually laughed, because I thought she was drunk on wedding nerves or feeling guilty about stealing my fiancé. Pulled my hand away and said, "Bella, stop it, you're scaring me for no reason." Her face crumpled like I'd broken something inside her. Then she forced that dazzling smile she's famous for, kissed my forehead, and walked onto the plane, holding hands with the man who used to call me love. In the dark. My name is Mia. 6 months ago, I was planning my own wedding to Lucas. Isabella was supposed to be my maid of honor. We picked out dresses together, tasted cake, cried happy tears. Then one morning I woke up to silence. Lucas was gone. My phone had a single text. I can't lie anymore. I'm in love with her. An hour later, Isabella posted a photo of them on a sunrise hike, his arm around her waist. Caption: "When you find the person you were always meant to be with." Everyone congratulated them. My parents said, "Sweetheart, you'll find someone better." When I tried to tell the truth, Isabella looked at me with soft, sad eyes and whispered, "Mia's been struggling. She makes things up when she's hurting." And just like that, I became the unhinged little sister who needed help. That's why I agreed to the sisters' reconciliation trip to Bali, all expenses paid by Lucas. Of course. Isabella swore the ocean air would wash everything clean. I packed a heart full of shame and a suitcase full of hope that maybe my sister still loved me somewhere underneath the lies, so when she cornered me at the gate and begged me to fake illness and vanish the second we landed, I thought it was the most dramatic apology in history. I had no idea it was the last time she would ever try to save my life. The silence from my phone stretched into agony as I sat in that cold airport lounge, staring at the departure board. Our flight had taken off without me, and Sophia was gone. I tried calling her once, twice, a dozen times, but it went straight to voicemail. "Hey, it's Sophia, leave a message." Her cheerful tone mocked me now. Panic set in, a cold wave washing over me. What if something had happened? What if this plan was her way of protecting me from some unseen threat? I rushed home, my mind racing through scenarios. Maybe she had spotted an ex or a creditor at the airport. Sophia had always been the one with secrets, dipping into risky ventures like online investments that never panned out. But when I unlocked our door, the house felt eerily empty. Her room, usually a mess of clothes and dreams, was stripped bare, drawers emptied, closet hollow. My heart dropped as I noticed the safe in the living room, the one holding our inheritance papers. It was open and empty. The money, our shared future, gone. Tears blurred my vision as I pieced it together. Sophia hadn't booked a trip for us. She had planned her escape. Checking my emails, I found confirmations. Only one ticket to Paris in her name. The heirlooms I'd sold. The funds transferred straight to her account. She had whispered that lie to strand me, to buy time while she fled. Pretend you're sick and run away. It wasn't an instruction for MIT, was her confession. Her twisted goodbye, the betrayal hit like a storm, wave after wave of pain crashing over me. How could she? We had shared everything: late-night confessions, childhood scars, the grief of losing our parents. I remembered the times I'd covered for her, loaned her money, believed in her wild ideas. But this was calculated, cold. She had used my trust as a ladder to climb out of her own messes, leaving me in the ruins. Nights blurred into days as I spiraled. Friends called, concerned, but I couldn't face them. "Where's Sophia?" they'd ask. I lied at first, saying she was on a solo trip, but the truth festered inside me. I discovered more. Emails to a man in Paris, a lover she had hidden. Photos on her forgotten cloud account showed them together, laughing, while I slaved away at home. She had drained our joint account, leaving me with bills piling up. The house mortgage looming like a shadow. My world shattered. I felt broken, exposed, like a fool who had loved too blindly. Anger simmered beneath the hurt, a fire igniting in my chest. Why me? Why destroy the one person who had always stood by her? But in that darkness, something shifted. The pain forged a resolve, a quiet strength I didn't know I possessed. I wouldn't let her win. I couldn't, until everything changed, and I decided to fight back, not with rage, but with the truth she feared most. Wiping away the last of my tears, I stared at the empty safe, the symbol of her deceit. No more hiding. I gathered every scrap of evidence: bank statements, emails, the photos of her secret life. My hands trembled, but my heart steadied. Sophia thought she could vanish, start anew in Paris with our money and her lover. But secrets have a way of unraveling, especially when the betrayed holds the threads. I started small, contacting our family lawyer. "She's taken everything," I confessed, my voice cracking. He guided me through the legal maze, filing reports for theft and fraud. But that wasn't enough. I needed her to feel the exposure, the heartbreak she had inflicted. Using social media, I reached out to mutual friends, sharing just enough to spark questions without venom. "Has anyone heard from Sophia? She's disappeared with our inheritance." Whispers spread, turning into a chorus. Then came the turning point. I tracked her down through her lover's online profile, a careless post tagging a Parisian cafe. With help from a private investigator friend, I confirmed her location. But revenge wasn't about confrontation. It was about justice unfolding naturally. I anonymously tipped off Interpol about the embezzlement, providing documents that painted her as the thief she was. Days later, I learned she had been detained at a border check, her dreams crumbling as authorities questioned her. The climax hit when she called me from a holding cell, her voice small and broken. "Emily, please. It was a mistake. I was desperate. I listened, my heart aching but firm. You shattered our bond. Sophia, you left me destroyed. I didn't yell. I simply hung up, letting the silence speak. She faced charges. The money frozen, her lover abandoning her in the chaos. Our inheritance was partially recovered, but more importantly, her facade cracked. Friends turned away, her reputation exposed. In the quiet aftermath, I rebuilt. The house felt lighter without her shadow. I found a new job, reconnected with old dreams, and even traveled alone to places we once talked about. Peace settled over me, a gentle closure to the storm. Looking back, betrayal taught me a painful lesson. Trust is precious, but blind faith can blind you to the truth. Family isn't just blood, it's loyalty earned. If someone shatters your world, rise from the pieces stronger, wiser. And remember, true justice comes not from destruction, but from revealing the light of honesty. I've found my strengths now, and in that, I've found freedom. The moment her lips brushed my ear in that crowded airport, everything inside me froze. Pretend you're sick and run away, Sophia whispered, her voice trembling with urgency, her fingers digging into my wrist. Trust me, just do it. Then she was gone, disappearing down the jet bridge with a single carry-on and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. My name is Lauren. And for 28 years Sophia had been my North Star. Same hazel eyes from our mom. Same laugh lines from our dad. After our parents died in a car accident when I was 19 and she was 22. We promised the world we would never leave each other. She became my guardian, my best friend, my only family. We shared a tiny apartment, a joint bank account, and every secret we owned. When she came to me 6 months ago crying about debts she couldn't pay, I didn't pay. I emptied my savings without hesitation. When she said, "Let's escape to Europe together, just us," I sold my car, quit my job, and packed my entire life into one suitcase. We were supposed to board flight 317 to Lisbon that morning, 2 sisters, starting over, healing, laughing, free. I had the boarding passes in my hand. Seat 2 for A for me, 2 for B for her. But the second she whispered those words, something dark flickered across her face. I told myself it was fear, nerves, anything but the truth, so I did exactly what she asked. I clutched my stomach, turned pale, told the gate agent I'd suddenly fallen ill. They let me off the manifest. I watched the plane push back from the gate, telling myself she'd text any second with an explanation. But what I didn't know that day, as I stood alone in a sea of strangers, was that Sophia never intended for me to get on that plane. She had already erased me from her future, and taken everything that was left of mine with her. Hours bled into night. No calls, no texts, nothing. I drove home on autopilot, the empty passenger seat beside me, screaming her absence. When I opened the door to our apartment, the silence hit harder than any sound ever could. Her bedroom was stripped bare, closet empty, favorite perfume gone. Even the silly framed photo of us at 17-missing. I ran to the desk where we kept important papers. The folder with our parents' life insurance payout, the one I'd signed over to both our names for safety, was gone. My laptop was still there, but when I logged into our bank app, my heart stopped. Balance, $112.43. Yesterday it had been almost $180,000. I scrolled frantically, transfer after transfer in the last 48 hours, all to an account I didn't recognize. The final one, made while we were still driving to the airport, had a note that made my blood turn to ice. For Sophia, only love you forever. She had written it to herself. I sank to the floor, gasping, the room spinning. Every memory flashed like a cruel montage. Me working double shifts so she could follow her dreams. Me comforting her when her business ideas failed. Me believing her when she swore she'd changed. I had handed her my trust on a silver platter, and she had used it to carve me open. For weeks I barely ate. Friends stopped by, worried, but I couldn't speak without sobbing. Bills piled up. The landlord threatened eviction. And still no word from Sophia. I found out through a mutual friend that she had posted photos from Lisbon golden beaches, rooftop bars, her arm around a man I'd never seen. Caption: new city, new life, new me. No mention of the sister she'd buried alive back home. I felt destroyed, hollowed out, furious at her and furious at myself for being so blind. But one night, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., something snapped inside me. The pain didn't disappear, but it sharpened into focus. If she thought she could vanish forever and leave me in ruins, she was wrong. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to make sure the truth chased her across every ocean she tried to hide behind. I started gathering evidence like a woman possessed. Screenshots, bank records, the forged documents she'd used to open the secret account. Even the deleted emails I recovered from the cloud. I filed police reports for theft and identity fraud. I contacted an international lawyer who specialized in cross-border financial crimes. Every step felt like reclaiming a piece of myself she'd stolen. Then I did the thing that scared me most. I went public. Quietly but strategically. I posted a calm factual threads on the platforms where Sophia loved to show off her perfect new life. No screaming, no insults, just the truth with receipts attached. Within hours, comments flooded in. People she'd met in Lisbon started recognizing her. Her new friends asked questions. Her boyfriend's family saw the posts. The glamorous mask she'd built began to crack. The final blow came 3 months later. Portuguese authorities, alerted by the international arrest warrant I'd helped trigger, stopped her at the airport as she tried to board yet another flight with what was left of my money. She called me from a detention center, voice small and shaking. "Lauren, I'm so sorry. I was scared. I thought you'd be fine." I let her talk until she ran out of excuses. Then I said the only words I had left. "You taught me who you really are, Sophia. I believe you now." And I hung up. Most of the money was recovered through the courts. I paid off the debts she'd left me and moved into a tiny studio that finally felt like mine. I traveled, alone, to the places we were supposed to see together. And I cried, laughed, healed under different skies. Sometimes people ask if I hate her. The truth is simpler. I released her. She has to live with what she did every single day, while I get to wake up free. So if you're watching this and someone has whispered lies into your ear, taken your trust, and tried to disappear, hear me, you are not broken forever. Let the pain forge you. Let the truth find them. And when justice finally knocks on their door, you'll already be miles ahead, living the life they tried to steal. Because the greatest revenge isn't destruction, it's rising, whole and unshaken, while they fall under the weight of who they chose to become. I'm Lauren, and this is how I took my life back. I can still feel the heat of her breath against my ear when she leaned in at the gate and whispered, "Act sick and escape now." Her words were so soft, so urgent, they felt like a secret meant only for me. My sister Mia's eyes were wide, almost pleading. "Do it, Ava. Trust me one last time." Then she kissed my cheek, turned, and walked straight onto the plane without looking back. I'm Ava, 26 years old, and for as long as I can remember, Mia was the sun I orbited, 3 years older, fearless, the one who taught me how to dream bigger than our quiet little town. When our mom got sick 2 years ago, we clung to each other like life rafts. We nursed her together, held her hands together, cried together the night she slipped away. After the funeral, Mia pulled me close and promised, "It's just us now, baby girl. I'll never let you drown." That promise was why I believed her when she showed up at my door with 2 plane tickets to Bali. "We need to heal," she said, tears shining. "Let's disappear for a month. Sun, ocean, no more grief." I was drowning in medical bills and heartbreak, so I said yes. I drained the last of Mom's life insurance money, $74,000. That was supposed to be split between us, and handed it to Mia because she said she could get us cheaper flights and a private villa if she booked everything at once. I trusted her the way you trust your own heartbeat. The morning of the flight, we stood together at gate 17, same suitcases, same excited smiles for the selfies. But the second the boarding call ended, she grabbed my arm, whispered those 7 words, "Act sick and escape," and vanished down the jet bridge. I stood there stunned, watching the door close behind her. Something inside me cracked, but I obeyed. I doubled over, told the agent I was suddenly dizzy and nauseous. They pulled me from the flight. I stumbled back through the airport, texting her frantically, "Mia, what's happening? I did what you said." But what I didn't know that day, as I waited 6 hours in an empty terminal for a sister who never came back, was that the escape wasn't for both of us, it was from me. I got home just before midnight. The apartment was too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Mia's room looked wrong to tidy. I opened her closet and my stomach dropped. Empty. Every dress, every shoe, every photo of us, the framed picture of Mom that always sat on her nightstand, missing. I ran to the safe hidden behind her books. The combination was Mom's birthday. It clicked open to icily. Inside, nothing but a single sticky note in Mia's handwriting. "I'm sorry. I had to." I logged into our bank account on shaking legs. Balance, $43. Yesterday it had been over $74,000. Transfer after transfer, huge chunks, moved to an account ending in numbers I didn't recognize. The final withdrawal happened at 9:12 a.m. while we were still laughing over coffee on the way to the airport. I screamed then, a raw, broken sound that didn't even sound like me. I called her phone until it stopped ringing altogether. I messaged every friend we had. No one knew anything. Then, 3 days later, the first photo appeared on her Instagram. Mia on a pristine Bali beach at sunset, arms spread wide, caption finally free. Free. That word burned itself into my brain. Free from what? From me. From the sister who had carried her through every dark day. The weeks that followed were a nightmare in slow motion. Creditors called about mom's medical loans I now had to pay alone. The landlord gave me 30 days to catch up on rent. Mia had stopped contributing months ago. I discovered she'd been secretly taking cash advances on credit cards in my name. My credit score collapsed overnight. I barely slept. I lost 15 pounds. I sat on the bathroom floor at 4 a.m. holding mom's old scarf, whispering, how could she do this to us? I hated her. Then I hated myself for still loving her. But one morning, staring at the empty side of the closet where her clothes used to hang, something shifted. The pain didn't vanish, but it turned into fuel. If Mia thought she could erase me and ride off into her perfect new life, she had forgotten one thing. I knew every secret she ever tried to bury. I started collecting evidence the way a drowning person claws for airbank records. Screenshots, the sticky note in her handwriting, even the Bali villa booking confirmation that only had her name on it. I filed police reports in 2 countries. I hired a forensic accountant with the little money I had left. And then I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I went public. Calmly and clearly. I posted a thread titled "To the Sister Who Stole My Future." No screaming, no insults, just the facts and the receipts. Within hours it was shared thousands of times. Travelers recognized the villa in her photos. Digital nomads she'd befriended in Bali started messaging me. Her new soulmate saw the post and left her the same week. The real moment of justice came 4 months later. Indonesian immigration flagged her at the airport when she tried to extend her visa with funds tied to reported fraud. She was detained, questioned, and eventually deported. When U.S. authorities met her at LAX, the look on her face in the news photo pale, hollow, lost was the first time I'd ever seen my sister look small. She called me from a holding facility, voice cracking. Ava, I was drowning. I panicked. Please help me. I let the silence stretch until she started crying. Then I said, you taught me how to swim alone, MIA. Thank you. And I hung up. Most of the money was eventually returned through restitution. I paid the debts, kept mom's scarf, and booked a one-way ticket not to Bali, but to a quiet coastal town where I could hear the ocean without hearing her lies in the waves. Sometimes, people ask if I've forgiven her. The truth is, I released her. She has to carry what she did every single day. I don't. I wake up to sunlight on my own terms. In a life I built from the ashes she left behind. So if someone you love whispers escape while pushing you toward the exit, listen closely. Sometimes the person trying to save you is only saving themselves. But you get to choose what rises next. And trust me, darling, what rises can be breathtaking. I'm Ava, and this is how I turned my deepest betrayal into my greatest freedom. The last thing my sister ever said to me was a lie whispered through a smile. See you on the other side. Chloe, love you forever. She squeezed my hand, blew me a kiss, and walked onto the plane. And vanished with every piece of the life we'd built together. I'm Chloe, 29, and until that morning, I believed Riley and I were unbreakable. Same freckles across our noses, same crooked smile from Dad, same promise we made the day we buried Mom. It's you and me against the world, always. After Mom's cancer took everything, her savings, our childhood home, our sense of safety really became my shield. She was 20 when she dropped out of college to work 2 jobs so I could finish school. I paid her back every cent once I got my nursing degree, and we bought a tiny fixer-upper house together. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a million memories. We painted the walls sunshine yellow and swore nothing would ever tear us apart. 6 months ago she came home crying. I messed up, Chloe. I borrowed money from the wrong people. They're threatening me. Her eyes were red, her hands shaking. She said we could fix it together, one big move. Sell the house, take the equity, start fresh in Canada where an old friend had lined up jobs for both of us. I didn't hesitate. I signed every paper she put in front of me. I trusted her the way you trust gravity. The day we flew out, we were giddy, matching suitcases, matching dreams. At the gate she suddenly hugged me tighter than ever. Wait here 1 second, she said. I forgot to check something. She disappeared into the crowd and came back pale. Then, right as final boarding was called, she pressed her forehead to mine and whispered, I'm sorry. Just remember I love you." Before I could ask why, she walked down the jet bridge alone. I stood there smiling like an idiot, waving, thinking she'd turn around any second and laugh at her own weird joke. But what I didn't know that day, as the plane took off without me, was that Riley had never bought a ticket in my name at all. She had only ever planned to board with one suitcase, and both of our futures inside it. I waited at the gate until they turned the lights off. No text, no call, just silence louder than any scream. When I got home, the house felt haunted. Riley's bedroom door was open, and the air left my lungs. Empty hangers swinging like ghosts. Her laptop gone. The lockbox where we kept the house sale. Paper. I tore the place apart looking for answers and found only a single envelope on the kitchen counter with my name in her handwriting. Inside, the new house deed. Only her name on it. A bank slip showing the entire $340,000 from the sale transferred to an account I'd never seen. And a short note. "I'm so sorry, Chloe. I took on more debt than I told you. They were going to hurt me. This was the only way. Please forgive me one day." I read it 10 times before it sank in. She hadn't borrowed from dangerous people. She'd become one of them. She'd forged my signature, lied to the realtor, convinced me we were running together when she was running from me. The next weeks were a blur of panic and grief. The buyers of our old house had already moved in perfectly legal because only Riley's name was on the closing documents. My credit was destroyed from loans I'd never known about. Friends looked at me with pity when I tried to explain. "But she's your sister," they said, as if blood could never be poison. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping. I sat on the floor of an empty apartment I now rented alone and replayed every moment. I'd handed her my trust like it was unbreakable. I hated her. Then I hated myself more for still aching when I thought of her laugh. But one night, staring at that betrayal letter until the words blurred, something cold and clear settled in my chest. If Riley thought she could disappear into a new country with my half of everything we'd bled for, she had forgotten one thing. I knew her better than anyone alive, and I wasn't going to beg. I was going to make the truth find her, no matter how far she flew. I started with quiet precision. I gathered every document, every forged signature, every bank trail. I filed reports for identity theft and fraud in 2 countries. I contacted the Canadian friend she'd bragged about. Turns out Riley had used her name. Together we built a paper fortress nothing could hide behind. Then I did the thing that terrified me most. I told our story publicly, not with rage but with raw honesty. A single post on every platform she used. To my sister Riley, who took my home, my savings, and my trust. Here are the receipts. I attached proof. No insults, just facts. It spread like wildfire. People recognized the background in her Happy New Canada photos. Her new coworkers saw it. Her new landlord saw it. 3 months later, I got the call from Interpol. Riley had been detained trying to open another bank account under a slightly different name. The money was frozen. She was deported within a week. When she landed back home, broke and alone, she showed up at my door at 2 a.m., soaked from rain, eyes swollen. "Chloe, I was scared. I thought you'd be okay." I looked at her, the sister I once would have died for, and felt nothing but peace. "You're not my emergency anymore, Riley," I said, and closed the door. The courts ordered restitution. Little by little, the money came back. I bought a small place of my own this time, with only my name on the deed. I planted sunflowers in the window box the way Mom used to. And one morning I woke up and realized I hadn't cried in weeks. Blood doesn't give anyone the right to break you. Love doesn't mean staying shattered so someone else can stay comfortable. Sometimes the people who swear they'll carry you are the farthest are the ones who drop you the hardest. But here's what I know now. When someone boards a plane with a lie and leaves you standing at the gate, you don't have to stay frozen there forever. You can walk through a different door, one they can never follow you through. I'm Chloe, and this is how I turned the worst betrayal of my life into the moment I finally learned to fly on my own. Pretend you're ill and disappear. Right now. Don't ask. Just do it. Her voice was barely a breath against my ear, but it hit me like a slap. My big sister Harper's fingers were ice cold as they closed around mine, her eyes wild with something between terror and triumph. Then she let go, flashed the boarding agent her perfect smile, and walked onto Flight 842 to Barcelona, leaving me standing frozen at Gate C24. I'm Isabella Bella to everyone who ever loved me. Harper was my whole world for 27 years. After Dad left and Mom drank herself away, Harper became mother, father, best friend, and hero all in one. She worked nights so I could go to college. She held me when I had panic attacks. She was the one who dried my tears and said, "I've got you, little star, always." So when she showed up at my apartment 6 weeks ago with 2 one-way tickets and said, "Let's vanish together, new names, new lives, just us," I didn't even ask why. I quit my job, sold everything that wouldn't fit in a suitcase, and transferred every cent of Mom's leftover insurance money, $92,000, into the joint account Harper insisted we needed for the escape. That morning at the airport, we were laughing, crying happy tears, taking selfies with our boarding passes. Harper kept checking her phone, growing quieter, until suddenly she yanked me into the corner by the gate. That's when she whispered the words that would destroy me. "Pretend you're ill and disappear." I thought it was a game, a prank, some dramatic Harper thing, so I clutched my stomach, told the agent I felt faint, and let them pull me from the flight. I waved as the plane taxied away, convinced she'd text me any second with the punchline. But what I didn't know that day, as I sat alone in the terminal watching strangers reunite, was that Harper never bought a second ticket. The escape was never included me. She had only ever needed me to hand her the money, and then vanish myself. I waited 12 hours in that airport like a lost child, no messages, no calls, just the echo of her whisper looping in my head. When I finally dragged myself home, the apartment already felt like a crime scene. Harper's side of the closet, her jewelry, the framed photo of us at my graduation I opened the safe where we kept passports and cash and found nothing but a lipstick kiss mark on a torn scrap of paper. "Thank you for everything. I'm sorry." I logged into our bank account with shaking fingers. Balance, $87.12. Every dollar I'd transferred was goon moved in neat chunks over the last 48 hours to an account in the Cayman Islands. The final transfer happened at 7:03 a.m. while we were still sipping airport coffee and planning which tapas bar we'd hit first in Barcelona. I screamed until my throat bled. Neighbors banged on the walls. I called the police, sobbing so hard the officer asked me to slow down 3 times. They told me it would be complicated because I had willingly handed her the money. I had signed the transfers myself. I had trusted my sister. Days turned into weeks of pure darkness. I couldn't eat. I couldn't work. I slept on the floor because the bed still smelled like her coconut shampoo. I found her new Instagram 2 weeks later, but a mutual friend screenshot the posts. Harper on a yacht, Harper hacia la Sagrada Familia. Harper kissing a man twice her age with a caption that read, "Finally living the life I deserve." That word deserve shattered what was left of me. I had starved for her. I had lied for her. I had given her every piece of safety I owned. And she deserved it more than I did. But one night, staring at the ceiling with tears drying on my cheeks, something ancient and fierce woke up inside. The pain didn't leave it changed shape. It became sharp, clear, unstoppable. If Harper thought she could disappear behind a new filter and a new passport, she had forgotten one thing. I was the only person on earth who knew every lie she'd ever told. And I was done protecting them. I started gathering evidence the way surgeons gather, instruments cold, precise, methodical, bank records, IP addresses, the fake LLC she'd used, screenshots of her new life with geotags turned on like breadcrumbs. I worked with a lawyer who specialized in international fraud. I contacted the man in the photos. Turns out he was married, wealthy, and furious to learn his new girlfriend had a trail of theft behind her. Together we built a net she couldn't slip. Then I did what scared me most. I told the truth out loud. I posted a calm, detailed thread titled, "My sister stole my future, here are the receipts." No screaming, just facts and proof. It went viral in hours. Travelers recognized the yacht. The wife recognized her husband. Spanish authorities were already watching when Harper tried to withdraw the last of the money in Madrid. She was detained at the airport trying to board yet another flight, this time to Thailand. The call came from a Spanish jail. Her voice was small, the one she used when we were kids and she'd broken Mom's vase. "Bella, I was drowning. I didn't know how to tell you." I let her cry. Then I said, "You don't get to call me that, drowning, Harper. That was choosing to push me under so you could breathe." I hung up while she was still begging. The money was seized and slowly returned through the courts. I paid my debts, rented a tiny studio with sunlight in the windows, and booked a solo trip not to Barcelona, but to a quiet island where no one has ever heard of. I swam in water so clear I could see my own reflection healing. People ask if I hate her. I don't. Hate would mean she still has power. What I feel is peace, the deep, quiet kind that comes when you finally stop carrying someone who never carried you. So if someone you love leans in at the gate and whispers disappear, listen very carefully. Sometimes they're not asking you to vanish with them. They're asking you to vanish for them. But here's the secret they don't expect. When you rise from the ashes they left you in, you don't need their permission to fly higher than they ever dreamed. I'm Bella. And this is how I turned the worst betrayal of my life into the moment I finally learned I was always meant to soar alone. I watched the plane climb into the sky and felt my entire world leave with it. My sister Lily waved one last time from the jet bridge, her smile bright and careless, then disappeared behind the door. See you in Dublin, Nat. Love you bigger than the ocean, she called. I stood there waving back, heart bursting, believing we were finally free together. My name is Natalie, 31, and Lily's younger shadow for as long as I can remember. We grew up in a house where love was loud and money was quiet. Dad died when I was 12. Mom followed 8 years later from a broken heart the doctors called cancer. After the funeral, Lily pulled me into the driveway and said, "It's just us now, Natty. Forever team." That promise became my religion when Lily came to me last winter saying she'd found a way out. An Irish investor wanted to fund our dream cafe in Dublin. I didn't hesitate. I cashed in my 401k, sold Mom's wedding ring, took a second mortgage on the little house we inherited, $210,000 in total. I signed every form Lily slid across the table because her eyes shone with the same hope I'd seen the day we buried Mom. "This is our freedom flight," she said, hugging me so tight I could feel her heartbeat. Just two sisters against the world, starting over where nobody knew our pain. We arrived at the airport giggling like teenagers. Same Navy suitcases, same boarding passes in our hands. But right as they called final boarding, Lily grabbed my arm, pulled me close, and whispered, "Listen carefully. Pretend you lost your passport. Stay behind. I'll text you the second I land." I laughed, thinking it was nerves. "What? No. We're doing this together." She kissed my forehead. "Trust me one more time." Then she walked away. But what I didn't know that day, as I watched her plane disappear into the clouds, was that Lily had never booked a seat for me. The freedom she was flying toward wasn't ours. It was hers alone, paid for with every cent I owned and every promise I'd ever believed. I searched the entire airport for 2 hours, convinced it was a cruel prank. I called her phone until it went straight to voicemail. I begged security to page her. Nothing. When I finally got home, the house felt colder than a tomb. Lily's bedroom was stripped bare, drawers hanging open like screaming emptiness, the safe in the hallway where we kept the house deed and the cash envelope, gone. I found only a single post-it stuck to my bedroom mirror. "I'm sorry. I couldn't bring you where I'm going. You'll be okay. I logged into our accounts with fingers that wouldn't stop shaking. Balance, $312.46. Every dollar I had poured into our future had been moved in the last 72 hours to an offshore account in Lily's name only. The Dublin investor. Fake email address. The cafe lease. Never existed. The second boarding pass I'd been clutching like a golden ticket. Printed on our home printer. Never registered with the airline. I collapsed right there on the carpet, gasping for air that wouldn't come. The sister who had braided my hair after Dad's funeral, who slept on the hospital floor beside Mom's bed, who swore she would die before she let anyone hurt me, had planned this for months. She had smiled while I handed her my life savings. She had kissed me goodbye while stealing the ground beneath my feet. The weeks that followed were darkness I never knew existed. The bank foreclosed on the house. Friends looked away when I tried to explain. "But she's your sister," they whispered, as if blood made betrayal impossible. I stopped answering the phone. I stopped eating. I sat in the empty rooms and replayed every hug, every "I love you," searching for the moment I should have seen the knife. Then one night, scrolling mindlessly, I found her new Instagram. Public, unashamed. Lily, in a cliffside cottage in Western Ireland, laughing with new friends, captioned "Finally living my truth." That word, my, snapped something inside me. The grief turned into a quiet, burning clarity. If she wanted her truth, I would give the world the rest of it.